Karen's hands trembled slightly as she connected the final wire to the metal railing of the community pool at exactly 3 a.m. The security lights were off. She had made sure of that. Tomorrow, when those noisy Carter children grabbed the rail to climb into the water, they would receive the shock of their lives. Karen grinned in the shadows. No more splashing. No more screaming. No more children. Karen Latham had only moved into Whispering Oaks last month. Yet she had already taken over as head of the Homeowners Association. With gray hair tightly pulled into a bun, she wore designer blouses and spoke in clipped, icy tones that made people flinch. Karen hated two things more than anything: noise and children. Unfortunately, her new house sat right next to the community swimming pool. Every laugh, every shout, every splash from that pool echoed through her walls. On her first day as HOA president, she called an emergency meeting. "This pool situation is out of control," she declared, glaring at the assembled neighbors. "Children are screaming constantly. I can't even hear my television." The next morning, a brand new sign appeared at the pool's entrance. "No splashing, no shouting, no running, no pool toys. Children must be quiet. Pool hours 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. only." Residents were stunned. For years, the pool had been the heartbeat of the neighborhood, a haven during summer heat waves where kids could be kids. Now, Karen patrolled the fence line with binoculars, scribbling down names of any offenders. "This is just the beginning," she murmured to her Siamese cat as she sipped chamomile tea on the porch. "Soon I'll have total peace." A week later, a moving truck pulled up to the vacant house across the street. The Carter family had arrived: Mom Hannah, Dad Greg, and their 3 kids, 8-year-old twins Eli and Ethan, and 6-year-old Nora. The kids dashed across the lawn, laughing and chasing each other as their parents unloaded boxes. Karen watched from behind the blinds, her lips pressed into a thin, disapproving line. "More children," she whispered. Perfect. The very next day, Hannah brought the kids to the community pool during the designated 2-hour window. The kids jumped in joyfully, shouting with delight. "This pool is amazing," Eli yelled, cannonballing into the deep end. Karen, trying to nap, bolted upright in bed at the sound of laughter. She stormed into her backyard, robe flapping. "Excuse me," she yelled over the fence. "There's no splashing allowed. Can't you read the sign?" Hannah looked up, startled. "They're just playing. Not doing anything dangerous." That night, Karen didn't sleep. The Carter kids had violated at least 5 of her pool rules in one afternoon. She composed a lengthy letter and demanded another emergency HOA meeting. 3 days later, the community center was packed. Karen stood front and center, PowerPoint slides ready. "I propose a new rule. No children under 12 allowed in the pool," she said firmly. "They are disruptive." Gasps filled the room. Greg Carter stood. "That's absurd. This is a family neighborhood. Our kids deserve to use the pool." Other parents nodded. When the vote was counted, 17-1. Karen stood alone. "This isn't over," she muttered. The next day, she had 4 high-definition security cameras installed around the pool. Each one fed to a monitor in her living room. She watched them obsessively, sipping tea and jotting down infractions. The next day, little Nora ran along the pool edge. 5 minutes later, Hannah opened her door to find Karen on the porch. "Your daughter was running. That's a $50 fine." Hannah blinked. "She's 6. "Rules are rules," Karen said coldly, pointing to the camera footage. "Eli splashed Ethan during a game? $50. A rubber duck in the pool? $75. By the end of the month, the Carters had received 8 violation notices totaling $500. Other families were targeted too. Laughter too loud? A teen staying 2 minutes past curfew. Karen documented everything with timestamps. Parents murmured in driveways, at the grocery store, on neighborhood forums. "She's power mad," muttered Mrs. Wu, a 20-year resident. At the next HOA meeting, half the usual attendees stayed home. Karen announced, "Since you refuse to follow rules, I'm closing the pool for maintenance." Gasps. "You can't do that," Greg shouted. "As HOA president, I can declare it unsafe. Unless behavior improves, it's closed." Back at home, Sarah Carter whispered, "She's enjoying this." The next Saturday was a scorcher. Despite Karen's threats, the Carters brought their kids to swim. They weren't alone. The pool was full of families. The twins jumped in with a splash. From behind her blinds, Karen seethed. "That's it," she shouted, storming outside. I've warned you. Now you'll see what happens when you ignore me. She slammed her door and muttered to herself. On the monitors, the Carter kids were still laughing. They think they can laugh at me? In my own neighborhood? She typed into her laptop how to keep people away from pools. Suggestions came up: fences, alarms, pool covers. Then she stumbled onto a dark forum. One post mentioned adding electricity to pool equipment to discourage trespassers. Her eyes gleamed. That's it, she whispered. They'll learn. For 3 days she studied wiring videos. Then she drove 2 towns over, buying wires, tape, switches, and a power converter. That night at 2 a.m. she snuck out in black clothing. She disabled the pool cameras, she had the password, and began her work. She attached wires to the metal railings and ran them beneath the concrete to a bush where she hid a switch box. Perfect, she whispered. Just a jolt. Nothing deadly. The next morning was sweltering. Karen waited in the bushes, the switch in her pocket. Across the street, Hannah hung laundry. She spotted something. A black wire sticking out from the pool edge. Curious, she followed it, eyes narrowing. She called Jerry Lopez, an electrician who lived nearby. Within 5 minutes, Jerry was at the pool, tools in hand. This is bad, he said. Really bad. These railings are wired. If anyone touched them while wet, it could be lethal. Call the police. Now. Sarah did. From her hiding spot, Karen panicked. She reached for the switch. One quick zap and they'd run. No one would ever know. As her finger touched the button, a hand grabbed her shoulder. Ma'am, don't move, said a stern voice. 2 officers loomed over her. Karen Latham once said, "You're under arrest for attempted assault with a deadly weapon." This is absurd. I didn't do anything, she protested. But her fingerprints were on the wires. The receipts were in her pocket. The cameras showed her at the scene. Neighbors watched in silence as she was led away. 3 days later, the community center was packed. Mr. Jacobson, the acting HOA president, addressed the crowd. The setup Karen created could have killed someone. She faces serious charges and will likely serve time. Greg Carter raised his hand. I have something to say. He stepped forward. What happened was awful. But maybe this is a chance for a fresh start. We want this to be a welcoming place. Hannah joined him. They presented new pool rules, extended hours, quiet periods for adults, supervised family hours. Mrs. Ramirez suggested a parent volunteer schedule. Mr. Daniels offered to build a sound barrier. By the end of the meeting, everyone agreed. That Saturday, they held a reopening party. Hannah brought cookies. Kids laughed and splashed. Adults lounged and chatted. Even the teens pitched in, teaching swimming lessons. Mrs. Wu smiled. In all my years here, I've never seen us so close. The metal rails were replaced with colorful plastic ones. A new sign was installed. Welcome to Whispering Oaks Pool, a safe place for everyone. Karen was gone. But in a strange twist, her cruelty had created something beautiful. A united neighborhood that finally understood what community truly meant.